Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Micah. This is my 2001 Toyota Tacoma that I've built on a budget for family adventures, cruising around, doing trails, just general camping, and just a lot of fun to have this truck and do projects. So I wanted to share it with you. It's been about a year since I've done any type of walk around of this, and a lot has changed. A lot of great budget projects, a lot of cool pieces, and I want to talk about how much I paid for these upgrades, whether or not I got them for free through marketing deals or what have you, if I made it myself. A lot of this is made by myself, so I thought it might be fun to share all those details and do an update and walk around of the Overland Under Budget 2001 Toyota Tacoma. So let's get into it. All right, let's talk wheels, tires, and lift. I have 285 75 R16 BFG KO2s, which are extremely popular. This is a great size. It's basically a 32-inch tire or a 33-inch tire. Each manufacturer has, you know, might list a tire and say, oh, this is a 33, this is a 35, this is a 32. They all actually vary a little bit in the height. So this is a 32.8-inch tire, and I've actually sized it up next to a BFG KM3 mud train, which was measured, which, you know, on the tire it said it was a 33 by 10.5, and this was quite a bit taller. So I'm not sure, I haven't actually, you know, measured with a tape, but this is basically a 33-inch tire, which I think is the most popular upgrade for these trucks. You do need to run a lift to run this tire, and it does rub. So let me show you where it rubs and what you have to do to alleviate the rub. This is what is called the pinch weld, and it's right now you can see it's folded over. Normally it would be sticking up like this. You just take a hammer, whack it, and fold it over. You can see right here, that's where it's not folded over. You could put a little cut in it, or you can just hit it with a hammer, fold this over. That'll help. That's all you really need to do on the inside for the metal work. And then you can see here I've cut the inner fender liner with just a razor blade, just down like this. And that's just because this stuff actually sticks out farther than the inner fender wells, and all you got to do is take a razor, cut that, and the edge of your tire will no longer grab it. So this is the pattern I did, just like a simple cut. You can test. I tried to leave in the part of the fender that is held in by this mud flap, that way it's not pulling out, so keep that in mind. Now it does rub on full steering lock right here. You can see it on the frame, and that is the inside of the tire right here, rubbing right here smooth. So it's not a big deal. It only happens when you're turning, like say full lock in a parking lot trying to do a U-turn or whatnot. It'll rub right there. Now I did recently add a little bit more lift by adding this really simple aluminum spacer. I actually got these on Craigslist with a set of shocks for a different truck, and I had them laying around, and I thought, you know what, let's try lifting it just slightly higher and see what it looks like. Of course, you like it when it's higher, so I left it in there. Now with this setup and these tires and the original upper control arms, it now rubs right here on this part of the tire when the truck is at full droop. So in other words, if I go and lift this tire off the ground, like doing something on the trail, the tire goes down, the upper control arm goes out almost, and basically rubs right here. And I don't know if you can see this on camera, but there's a rub right there. So this could be alleviated by a larger offset with your wheels, or a wheel spacer. I don't have any wheel spacers on right now, but I do plan on getting a set of probably just 1-inch hub-centric wheel spacers, unless I upgrade wheels, but I really love these wheels. So probably going to do wheel spacers, kick the wheel out just a tiny bit. It will no longer rub up there with the taller lift, and we're good to go. Now the wheels are Toyota steel wheels. These are the design and the actual wheels that come under the truck as a spare tire when you buy the truck. What I did is went on Craigslist and found a set of 4. I was lucky to find a set for sale 30 minutes from my house. That's how I got my first set of these. I've bought multiple sets. The other set I found online at a website called wheelstiresandmore.com. And believe it or not, they sell these wheels, if they're in stock, they're hard to find in stock, for $52 shipped to your door. And powder coated silver, and if you're lucky, they might have a powder coated black one. So many times I've went to order and ordered 3 because I needed 3 because I've already had one under the truck, and the order went through, and then all of a sudden they would send back and say, you know, only 1 wheel is on the way. That's all we have in stock. So you might have to place multiple orders, but if you're looking for this, a lot of guys are. I love this look. You can try and find them on Craigslist, and then you can try and find them on that website, wheelstiresandmore.com. Okay, so we did the tires, we did the wheels, we know where it rubs. The lift I'm running is just a simple classic pair of Bilstein 5100 shocks. These are about $110. This is the OEM stock coil that was in the truck when I bought it. And that is the current setup for the lift and shocks. Now, I would like to upgrade the springs possibly to a heavier spring rate now that I have the bumper and the winch. But the truck drives great off-road. It's very compliant because I think this is slightly undersprung. And you know what? That actually helps with traction when you're going off-road. So we will see. I'll probably be upgrading those at some point, just to cope with the more weight and keep the truck from diving down in bumps at any speed. So there you have it. Wheels, tires, lift on my 2001 first gen Tacoma. Let's go to the next part. All right, let's talk rock sliders. Now, when you're looking for rock sliders for this year and model of truck, there's not a ton. Very popular brand is All Pro Off-Road and Trail Gear, and they have some great budget options, but still you're looking to pay probably almost 400 bucks, especially by the time, maybe even 500 bucks, especially by the time you get them powder coated, because they come bare and also welded on if you don't own a welder. Now, if you do own a welder, like I do, I was so lucky to win a weld, like literally win a welder for free, and it's been life-changing. I made these rock sliders. The tubing was about $130. I bought some plates to mount it with. That ended up being $50. So the total price was about $170. You could do it a little cheaper if you bought a better, more economical plate to use for the mounting feet. But that's how much I paid for these in the end. And I had a blast making them. So let's take a look at some of the details and let's get in closer, I guess. Okay, so the reason I built them like this is I actually really wanted a functional step for stepping on. I put the kids in here all the time. It's a family car, more than it's a trail car, honestly. And I'm always stepping on here to load them up. And I'm always stepping on here to access the roof racks. So this is, I'm in California, got flip-flops, a very functional step. I can stand on here very easily and access my roof rack, front and back, and that was a huge detail I wanted to be present when I made these. And the other details are, I wanted something that's really clean in design. A lot of popular rock sliders are tubular, and they have basically a kick out here, it comes along, and then they have an inner tube right under the pinch weld of the truck, which is great. But as far as design goes, and as far as my personal truck, I really like a clean, simple design that's functional and works for the actual purposes that I use the truck, which are, I use it all the time, you know, for just adventures and stuff. So I needed a functional step. I wanted the protection of a rock slider, and I also wanted them to kick out a little bit, so when I come around rocks on the trail, it's pushing the truck away. So nailing the dimensions was just, or I feel like I nailed them for my personal preferences, but I basically came down right at the end of the flare. I put a nice little curve in here, help kind of glide up steps. It also makes this rather bulky 2x4 inch steel tubing with 1/8 inch wall thickness look a little slimmer on the truck with just a little concave. And that's on both ends. There's 3 mounting feet, and they end right here as well. Now, these are welded to the frame, and I did a terrible job welding them, and I'm embarrassed to show you, and I actually haven't even painted them. So what I need to do is go under there, sandblast them, and lay down some better welds. Like I said, I'm a new welder, so I might even have somebody help me, because it was hard to get the welding gun in there. I'm MIG welding and get a good solid weld. So I'm gonna go under there, clean them up, and do a better job of welding them to the frame. But those are the rock sliders. They are made from, like I said, 2 by 4 inch steel tubing with an 1/8 inch wall thickness. And the total cost for these dudes was about $170 plus my time. So love this upgrade, super functional, and very happy to have this on the trail anytime I'm smashing over rocks. So those are the rock sliders. Let's go to the next part. All right, let's talk snorkel, because if you don't have one of these, you're not cool, which is basically how the world works right now. If you do have one, you're a dork because you never use it. But here's the deal. I grew up loving like the old Camel trophy trucks and the just functional tractors and rigs and things that are just built for purpose. And for me, I love having a snorkel on there. There's actually a puddle in my town that gets about this deep, and I love to go through it. And that's one of the main reasons I got this snorkel, was I wanted to be able to go through there and not do something dumb, you know, stall out or have it go into the intake and damage the engine. So besides the fact that I just love the way this looks, love what it represents and fulfills a childhood dream, it is very functional. Now, this is not an ARB snorkel. It looks like one. It is from Malaysia. You can find this on eBay. I've heard that they're harder to find these days. When I got it, it was $130. And I ordered this sticker, which I love. I think this makes all the difference in the world. It makes, I feel like, a OEM piece. This is from a guy named Sticker High. You can find him on Tacoma World, and you can find him on Instagram, Sticker High. And he makes these are like 15 bucks. But this snorkel is actually really impressive. You know, for being 128 bucks or whatever it was, look how close it fits to the truck. I mean, it's awesome. It's not chintzy, it's not cheap at all. You drill through a nice hole here, your intake's running here, connects to the OEM box right where it dumps, which is why you want to get rid of that right there, and runs up here. And it's got a classic Snorkel Scoop. You can change this out. A lot of people always ask me, hey, you can't run a snorkel in the rain, what happens? Well, the rain is coming in. The idea is that it's going to come out the back of these little recesses. But yes, yeah, you're exposing more to rain, but you know what? The rain comes in here, boom, hits the wall. It's going to hit a wall here, going to hit a wall down here, and it's got to travel all the way to the air box, which is a box, and then through the filter. So by the time, you know, it hits the back there, you're basically just at moisture. And if you're really concerned about it, you can loosen this clamp and flip this guy around. So that is the snorkel. That cost 130 bucks. Installed it at home. And as far as visually changing the look and feel of the truck, one of the biggest differences I've ever done to it, and I personally just love the way it looks. So that is the eBay snorkel. On to the next. All right, let's talk roof lights. And this is the place we're gonna start here with the switch. This is the switch that controls the light bar on the top of the truck, and it is wired in to the battery and then through the firewall down there. And this is an OEM spot for just a blank switch place. So no cutting is involved, just a tiny bit of trimming to make one of these rocker switches fit in there. And I love that because I love the tactile feel of these switches, and the very clean look. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't look super aftermarket, and looks like it fits. This is actually a third one. This is for the air compressor. I'll get to that later, but this controls the roof lights, and let's go take a look at them. All right, so we got 6 lights up here. These are made by a company named Oedro, I believe, or Edro. It's basically, I don't know how to pronounce it, but these were $20 a piece. And they vary in price. Different people make them. You can find this exact model, but the ones I bought were the Oedro or Edro. They're claimed 5,500 lumen output. I don't know. They're definitely a super flood pattern. They are very intense, but very flood. So you get quite a huge spread of light, but also not much projection. So they're not going to shoot way farther than your headlights, but they are extremely bright and really fill in the trail and give you a really good view of the terrain you're driving over. So I like them for that reason. I'm a lot of times just driving trails in the forest up here in California, in the Sierras, in the hills, and I'm going slow, and it's super nice to be able to turn these on and just get a really good picture around the entire truck. And you know what? This whole setup of lights costs like $160. I've been rocking them for over a year. They're on the front of the truck, no covers that entire time, no problems with it, no issues, no leaks, and I like the look. So very happy, very happy with these lights. The wiring harness is homemade. I made this just from standard, I believe it's 16 or 14 gauge wire. 2 wires from each light. They are plugged in individually. These are from Amazon as well. These plugs, I made the harness. It's basically, I'm not sure what the technical term would be for that, but think of one wire, and off that wire to each light comes, you know, one power, one negative. So one power wire, one negative wire running, and off that is stemmed all the wires for these lights. So wiring, I get asked a lot about this. It runs down, no clips or anything, goes right by the snorkel, and actually the snorkel is kind of, these bolts are kind of just holding it in there nice and snug. Like I said, I've had this on there for a year. I've had no issues with this whipping around while I'm driving or moving at all. And then it comes down in the hood, right past this guy, and then runs along the engine bay to the battery. There's a relay, and then the switch runs in there. So that is the homemade 6-light light bar. And that brings us to the next spot, which is this roof rack. Now, the roof rack is also homemade, surprise, surprise. And I made it from parts I found on Craigslist, and also some really cool extruded aluminum bars. These are ordered online from a website called tnuts.com. So the letter T, nuts, like squirrel nuts, spelled with a Z.com, and you can find all types of extruded aluminum. Super good price. I think I paid $60 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those bars, and then I paid, I think, like $25 shipping. So it ended up being $90 for these guys. These are Yakima Q Towers. I got a set, 2 of them, for $25 on Craigslist. I had to buy 1 set of these clips. These are the Yakima 117 clips. That's what fits this truck. Each truck has a different clip number, but if you're looking for a 1st generation Tacoma Yakima Q Towers, you need the 117 clip. Now, to make this rack, it took me a long time to think of a design that I would be happy with. I wanted something that was very slim to the top, and I wanted something that was removable because I didn't want to have to drill through my roof to mount a roof rack. So this is what I came up with. It is Yakima Q Towers. This side rail is actually a Thule roof bar. These would normally go crosswise, and I had these in my garage since before I owned the truck. I had also purchased these on Craigslist, $50, and that's what I ended up using for this side rail. And when I was searching around, oftentimes I do this. I'm just like looking for anything. It doesn't matter what it was before. It's just a good shape, or what might, you know, a piece that looks like it'll work. I was really happy with this because this curve of the arrow bar fits pretty close to the curve of the Q Tower. So had a lot of fun making this. This has been one of my favorite upgrades. These things are insanely strong. You can stand on this, and it hosts my Pelican cases, which I love to use. I've had these for quite a while, and I'll get into those more in a second. But yes, the roof rack, removable, no drilling, Total cost on this is under, I think it's under 200 bucks. You know, it depends. If you were to remake this and buy all these brand new, it would be very expensive, but you can find these on Craigslist. You can find these on Craigslist, and you can order these for less than 100 bucks. And they come drilled and tapped and ready to go. So this is just bolted together. I don't know if I kind of mentioned that yet, but it's through bolts. I lifted this cover off, took them apart, through bolts through. You can kind of see right there, 2 on each one, and this thing is awesome, super strong and super slim. You can see right here, barely a finger under right here. So I love this guy, and you can remove it in like 20 seconds. You just do all these clips, pops right off. So if you don't want it on there, you don't have to have it on there, and you don't have holes in your roof. So that is my roof rack and light bar. Let's go on to the back rack. All right, so for the rack that's on the back of my camper shell, I'm gonna show it to you, but I also wanna let you know I'm actually making my own racks now, custom made at home, metal bent at home, welded at home, all that kind of stuff. And they're gonna be a little different than this, but they are inspired by this rack, which was originally a Garvin roof rack for a Jeep. And I made it narrower, I changed the direction of the crossbars, I welded it differently, I wired it up and chopped it to fit on this truck, and that's what gave me the inspiration to build my own basket racks for these trucks, and hopefully soon I'll have a video showing you one of those. But for now, let's get into the one I have modified on the top of my truck, and you're gonna notice it's very rusty. I've been working on it, grinding it, making different stuff, and not painting it. I live on the coast, so yeah, don't comment, oh, it's rusty. All that to say, let's get into it. All right, so we'll start right here. And this is one of the features I really like about having this rack is you can grab here, you can step on the tire, and you just pull yourself up, and you have easy access to everything up here. So the roof rack, like I said, was originally a Garvin roof rack from a Jeep. My neighbor was getting rid of it. He gave it to me for free the day that I bought the truck. So super score, I made it 6 inches narrower to fit the truck. It's about 4 feet wide and about 5 feet long. And that holds my shovel, which is from Ace Harbor, which was $9, I believe. Some X-Bull traction boards, which were, I think when I bought them, they were $90. There's cheaper ones available now. And then I also have a pair of Fiery Red branded traction boards, which I usually put on the back here. Don't have them with me. Those were, the other traction boards were free in exchange for a review. But I think they're also pretty cheap, like $100. So up here is also my Roto Packs. These I scored on Craigslist for $120 with the mounting hardware. And these I love having. These trucks kind of have a small gas tank. You can go, depending on your gearing and setup and everything, you can go anywhere between 220 to 270 miles on one tank, but that's it. And a lot of places I'm driving, you know, I might drive 100 miles to get someplace, or, you know, 50, 60 miles from the gas station before you get to the trail, and you want to do the whole trail. It's peace of mind to have 8 gallons on my roof, knowing that, hey, I've got another basically 100 miles on the roof. And that's just allowed me to take more advantage of doing trails. It's not necessarily a necessity, but I would say carry some kind of way of having a little extra gas just in case. And I love having these up there. Everything fits nice and flat. Also with this roof rack, something I really liked is I can still load, you know, sticks of steel, 20-foot steel pieces. I cut them usually at 16 feet, but it can rest on here. I don't have to remove any of this. This stuff is all placed under this top bar, which means I can run a piece of plywood on top of here. I just take the shovel out and go all the way over the front, no problem. So having a basket rack is awesome. It also gives me a spot to mount some camp lights, which these lights, super helpful. They are switched in the cab just like the roof lights. Turn the switch on. These guys are projecting down around the back of the whole vehicle. I do want to add some up front, which I'll do soon. Those were cheap. That one was $25. Same brand as the roof lights. There's the brand. The side one, both the side ones were a gift to me from a friend. I think they were $14. So Another point about the roof rack is how I mounted it. This is this is like a prototype of something I've come up with on my new racks, but I wanted to mount this as slim as possible. And this is basically about as low as you can go before it's gonna hit the roof. So that's something that's always important to me. I think mostly from an aesthetic view, but I love having it nice and slim. It's not sticking up, catching the wind. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way this is mounted. Like I said, this was free. I am gonna be making a similar rack with some upgrades to it, and look for a video on my YouTube soon of that, and hopefully with some pricing and a place to order them. So if you like a basket rack, I'm going to make them full size for full size trucks, and also this length for short bed trucks. So yeah, that's kind of fun. That is the basket rack on the back topper of my truck. Next, let's talk about this guy. All right, so here is another one of my favorite things I've done to the truck, and that is the tire carrier swing out and drop down table for camping. This has been an awesome upgrade, and I built this at home. So let me show you all the details. So this is a 4X Innovations hinge. This is probably the most important part of a tire carrier, is where it pivots and how that is made. I love this one. I think this is probably one of the best on the market because it is holding the top of the arm and the bottom. So this is what's called a double shear. A lot of pivots don't have this top piece. So basically when this is out, you have all the leverage trying to snap the shaft right here, or put all the pressure right there. Now if you have a tire like this, this is a 33, which is probably actually pretty small for a lot of modern off-road trucks. People go up to 40s on different trucks, and this actually weighs 92 pounds for a small tire. So you can imagine if you got a 37 or bigger, it weighs a ton. And when you're bouncing around, if you don't have this set up correctly, you're gonna have a ton of weight going like this and trying to snap that off. So that is a really important kit. Hinge. This is one of the most expensive pieces of the setup. This is about $125, but I think it's 100% worth it. It has 2 lockout positions, has needle bearings, which are removable and sealed, and you can pack them with grease and blah, blah, blah. Super cool. So let's get into some of the details of this tire carrier. I also have another YouTube video on this channel already that is about 10 minutes long and talks only about this. So probably won't go into all the details in this video, but this is homemade, made from 2-inch wide, 3-inch tall, 1/8 wall, or 1/8 wall steel tubing, square tubing. And it is sitting on top of a old bumper I found on Craigslist. This bumper is made by, I believe, Stout Equipment Manufacturers. They are no longer in business. I think it was made back in like 2003. I found this lower piece on Craigslist for $350, like 2 days, actually no, the same day I bought the truck, which was unbelievable. I didn't know what it was. I just needed a new bumper because the old one was kind of rusted. Went out, picked this up, put it right on the back, and I freaking love this bumper. It's super simple, it's super beefy, high clearance, and really like this bumper. Super, super strong. But anyways, so that's the lower bumper. Then I added the swing out on top. Swing out is totally removable. Undo this bolt. I've welded the nut inside. Pull this bolt out. The whole hinge comes off, the whole arm comes off. So if I ever want to rock it without this, easy to do as one bolt. So let's look at some more of the details. On the back, I've got a Pelican case. This is a 1440 top loader case from Pelican. This case I actually got in exchange for posts on my Instagram. I'm technically, officially a Pelican brand influencer on Instagram, which is a dream come true for me to be working with Pelican. I've loved this company since I was a kid, and my grandpa had a telescope in a Pelican case, and I've always loved this case. My whole family has always, all the boys have always loved Pelican as a brand. Super cool, made in the same town that I was born, and just some rock solid, can't go wrong with these cases. Waterproof, bomb proof, basically. You can drop it off the building, floats. This one, it's still is like basically a carry-on. People use it for wine bottles. I am using it to hold kind of my quick access gear that I use all the time. So this is the Morflate tire kit for 4 tires. It's got my snatch strap in it. It's got some some ratchet straps. It's got my hitch link and soft shackle. Yeah, just throw whatever in here that I use all the time when I'm on the trail, so I don't have to dig it out. These trucks are tiny and having a case on the back might seem kind of funny, like, hey, just throw that in the back of your truck, but this truck is so small. If I've got myself, anyone else in the truck, and I'm loaded for camping, more likely than not my snatch strap is going to be buried somewhere, and so having it in the back here is just super nice. I love the way this looks. I love how useful it is, and yes, thank you Pelican for sending this to me, and that's how I got that for free. Now let's see, this is the hinge. This is a design that I came up with, which I really like. You're welcome to steal it unless you're a company. This is just another piece of the same tubing turned up on end, and it's cut out to hold the swing arm. And you can see when it comes together, see this little lip here? That's on purpose. That is so when you lift it up, there is no more pressure on that bearing. So it's not because it's sagging, it's because I cut it that height. I want it to go in there, take the weight off the bearing, and it does that really well. And then the other cool thing is when this closes, it's pulling the swing arm into the back, and it's pulling it nice and tight, and there's no movement up or down because it's capped, or back and forth. So that's very important. No vibration. The more vibration you have with one of these, like I said, it already weighs probably 150 pounds, this whole setup. You don't want that wiggling back and forth. So coming up with a good latching mechanism is very key to making your own swing out. So let's open this up and I will show you the rest of it. So it swings right out, locks into place. You can even lock it out a little bit further. This is usually how I do it. This is the drop down table. This is such a nice upgrade. Like, it's almost worth upgrading the entire bumper just to have something like this, because I use this all the time. I put my camera on here when I'm taking photos. I put groceries on here when I'm loading them in the back. You name it, tools when I'm working on the truck. It's so nice to have a drop down table. This table is a piece of plywood, 3/4 inch plywood. It is wrapped on top with a sheet of metal. This metal is from the back of a filing cabinet, which is I found on Craigslist for free. This is a phone mount. It's a strong magnet. And you know what? I have my phone in my back pocket. It's one of these guys. Boink. It can just hold on like that. But that magnet holds the back of this guy. And because it's just past vertical, it stays on there perfectly, even on trails. And then I've added just a little piece of foam which contacts back here in case this comes loose and it's not gonna whack my tailgate and scratch it up. But anyways, piece of plywood, drop down table, door skin from the back of a filing cabinet, angle aluminum from the hardware store. This whole table part, including the hinges, probably cost me I think the only cost was this and those hinges, so maybe $25 for that whole upgrade. Total cost of the swing out arm was, I think, about I want to say $120 for the steel. No, wait, $70 for the steel, I think. And that's including this plate to hold the wheel. And then the hinge was about 34 bucks. Table, 25 bucks. This piece of angle aluminum, I paid my neighbor, I think, 20 bucks, or maybe he gave it to me for free. This is a fat piece of angle aluminum. And so yeah, this whole entire tire setup in the back, a couple $100, a lot cheaper than you can buy them. Plus, the other thing is you can't really just buy them because they need to be custom made to fit on the back of your truck. So love this. There, like I said, there's a more detailed video on this entire swing out on my YouTube channel already. But that is the tire carrier, drop down table, recovery box set up on the back of my Tacoma. So next, let's talk about what's going on. All right, you guys, I'm gonna preface this with saying I just got back from a very, very, very dusty trail ride, and the back of the truck is dusty. The entire truck is super dusty and dirty. I didn't clean it, but yes, it is dusty. It doesn't normally look like this, but this is real life. So let's take a look at the back of the truck. So here's what I've got going on in the back. This is how it looks 99% of the time, even when I'm rolling around town. Sometimes I'll take out this bag, which is my sleeping pad, sleeping bag, an extra sleeping bag for me if it's super cold, or for my son if he's with me, and a little fold-up sleeping pad. And then I've got 2 Pelican cases. These are the 1600 cases by Pelican. I actually got these before I was sponsored by them. I found each one on Craigslist for $40 a piece, and crazy deal. Came with foam and a lid organizer and everything. One of those has my tools in it. One of those has a camp setup. So there is a Coleman stove in there and everything you need to make pancakes, all your dishes and silverware, soap, coffee maker, mixture, and all that kind of stuff. That all is in one of those boxes, and I love having that. I'm going to do a separate YouTube video on that because that's kind of detailed and you want to see that. I really like having that. The setup back here is like, I think the 4th version of the back of the truck that I've done. I've wanted it to be functional as a daily driver because that is what this truck is most of the time. I use it all the time, and I want to still be having, you know, the usefulness of having a truck, even though it has a camper shell on it. I can put my son's bike in here. I can put a full-size bike in here. I can put a piece of furniture. I don't have to remove anything. I used to have a pull-out drawer and a solid sleeping platform, and it's nice, but it's also in the way all the time. And even just putting groceries in, that setup was hard. So this is my favorite setup. It is a set of wood rails that I made from a 2x4, and those are a hinged set of 3/4 inch plywood, accordions out, and this whole thing becomes a bed, and I can sleep long-wise. So I will show you that in just a second. I also have another detailed video on YouTube already on this, but I'll pull this out in a second. That is my sleeping setup. These are some cheap camp chairs. These are like $9 from Dick's Sporting Goods. This is a Harbor Freight jack that I added a skid plate to the bottom and painted, and used some quick fist mounts to attach the arms. This is a block to help me get a little more lift. I love having this in the truck. I can help other people on the side of the road. I can help myself on the trail. There's a good argument between having a bottle jack, a floor jack, or a high lift jack off-road. Really just depends on what kind of off-roading you're doing. This has worked for me so far. And I like having it in the truck. It also fits under my bed platform, as do these Pelican cases. So whole thing is designed around being as low as possible, giving me the most room while I'm sleeping, and also working cohesively as a little environment for camping. So another cool feature I added in the back here is this piece of aluminum with a power port. So battery wire, or wire running to the battery under the truck, and pops out here, gives me power, which you can see my battery is low. I probably need a new battery, but it's also running my GoPro charger, which I'm using to film this. So having these power ports in the back is a game changer. I love having this. I can plug in my phone. I can plug in something else. I have a 12 volt. It also keeps an eye on my battery when I've got the camp lights running and the truck is off at like a campsite per se. I've got a little phone mount, which is also magnetic. Back here when I'm sleeping, that's just super nice to have. I've also got lighting in here, a bright one and a dim one, and I can unplug the bright one right here for when I'm in bed. And if I just want to look at something, like this is too bright in there, so if I'm reading, that little light is better. So I'm gonna redo this soon with a much better setup, more switches and buttons, so keep an eye out for that too. But that has been rocking for me for about a year. I've also got these little pouches. This has been a nice little upgrade. I throw my phone in here when I'm sleeping, when the bed's all set up, my wallet or keys or whatnot. These are made by Blue Ridge Overland, and I got those for free on an Instagram giveaway, and this cost about 25 bucks if I'm correct. The panel is only 20 bucks. This is just a sheet of aluminum from the hardware store, very cheap. And the lights, also very cheap. I think under 20 bucks. So that's the back. This is how it looks most of the time. Now I will pull out the bed and you can see what it looks like when I'm sleeping. All right, now we've got the bed set up. It takes about 1.5 to 2 minutes to set up. So not very long at all. Super quick. You can leave this set up if you want. Maybe set it up even before you go on your trip, and you can crawl right back to a 0 setup, because like I said, everything fits under here. And everything works whether it's back or it's down. So this is my sleeping setup, and it is a memory foam mattress topper that I found on the side of the road, I'm embarrassed to say, but it was like new condition, and I cut it. And then I took a duvet cover, which is a blanket cover, and cut it to size and sewed it to fit this pad. So this has been rocking for me. That means you can take the cover off, wash it if you want. And you guys, I'm a huge fan of sleeping in the back of your truck. If you can fit it, pack minimally enough to leave yourself this much space, it is such a nice way to camp. It is super comfortable. It is secure feeling, and it's secure from the weather too. So it doesn't matter if it's hailing or snowing, 50-mile-an-hour winds, you are totally fine in the back of your camper shell, and that is a nice peaceful feeling. And the thing is, I am about 5'10", I think up to about 6 feet. You are fine to sleep in the back of a short bed truck if you sleep diagonally. So you can see still got room to wiggle my little dirty toes. And this is the setup I use for myself. It's also how I sleep with my little 4-year-old son. He just sleeps right next to me. He's not very tall yet, so he sleeps right here. I sleep across, and that is how we camp the majority of all of our camping trips. And it is a nice, comfortable setup. I love having this. Super quick. I would think I will always keep this setup in the back of the truck, even if I do one day get a roof tent or some other option for sleeping with more people. This is my favorite way to camp if I'm out by myself. And yeah, that is my super quick stealth setup. Sleeping in the back of the truck gives you the option to have it a full truck bed usefulness, but also have a really nice place to sleep in a moment's notice. So that is the back of the truck. Something I forgot to add is, and I think I have this in another YouTube video, is the cost of making this setup is minimal. One sheet of plywood basically, which depending on the plywood you buy is under 50 bucks. A couple hinges, which I got for free from some closet doors I found on Craigslist for a different project. And then a 2x4. So I have another video on this whole setup, how I made the 2x4s to fit the wheel wells and all that kind of stuff. It's on my channel. Take a look for some more details, but very cheap, probably, under 100 bucks if you go out even buy yourself a new mattress topper. So that's what I'm using. Oh, in the bag I have, people have asked me about this. This is a stuff sack from Amazon. It's orange. I like the color orange, as you might have noticed. Supposed to be waterproof, and I did that because I usually store the bed in there like you saw in the beginning, all folded away. These toppers are hard to get fully waterproof, and if you get something wet, say this is set up and it rains and something leaks on here, that's a big bummer if you're in the beginning of your trip. So I usually always break this down, put it in here. It's waterproof. If there's water in the back of the truck, it doesn't matter, because I have Pelican cases which are holding everything dry, and then this is in a waterproof bag, so I can always sleep in the dry. So that would be another important thing I forgot to mention earlier, but I think this was like 15 bucks, available on Amazon. Let's move on. All right, you guys, so here's another fun project I've just recently worked on, and I haven't totally finished, but I want to show you anyways. It is a 270 self-supported awning for the truck. I'm super stoked on this project. I'm actually going to try to build some of these and put them up for sale so other people can enjoy having a 270 awning at a low price, hopefully be able to make them affordable. Currently, this setup hasn't cost me much. The metal itself is very cheap. I think the investment in metal is around 50 bucks if you have your own welder. The tarp is that I'm using a tarp that's uncut. It's from Harbor Freight. It was only $9. So this is just a test setup. The material for the bag is actually one of the most expensive pieces. That is vinyl coated polyester, and you have to buy it by the yard, and it was 70 bucks and enough material to make 2 bags. So it's funny enough, that's actually one of the most expensive parts of this whole setup. But let me get it set up and I'll show you what it looks like. This is an uncut tarp that's 9 bucks from Harbor Freight, and if you have the ability to sew like I do at home, you can cut a pattern out. So this would pop open in about, it's under a minute to deploy it if you have a cutout. The tarp, because it's full tarp, was folded over and fell off and blah blah blah, but at least you can run it if you want with the tarp. Let's take a look. So this is all 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch square steel tubing, welded at home. Like I said, this tarp is uncut. It's 12 feet long and 8 feet wide, and this is the hinge here. This is, some people always want to see this. Like I said, it's unfinished, so it's still unpainted. Again, this is black pipe, and inside is skateboard bearings and long grade 8 or 5/16 bolts. Little lifter arm. I'm going to add a lifter arm on each one of these guys, but not too many details because I haven't finished it yet. But you can see it is a huge awning, and it will cover my cooking station, and eventually I'll probably add walls to drop down. This is awesome. Having an awning when you're camping, especially if you have kids or with your family, and in California it's usually hot in the desert, just being able to deploy something like this, have instant shade or get out of the rain or the weather, so nice. Such a nice upgrade. The fact that it's steel, you can do pull-ups on this if you want. The strongest part is this, not really the camper shell, so you can hang off this. This can be set up in crazy wind. I've driven around, not with the full tarp, but with the cutout one, about 30 miles an hour with this deployed. No problems. Super fun project. If you can do it yourself, do it yourself. If you can't, like I said, I'm going to be making something, hopefully to sell, that you can buy, that'll be very affordable, so you can rock something like this with one of the racks that I make as well. So that is a quick look at the home-built 270 awning. We'll go up top here. You can see lots of coverage and a cheap tarp that's not totally tied down. Just an experiment right now. So, but yeah, this has been a really fun project. With a cut tarp, you can put this away extremely fast too. So I won't show you that right now because I can't do it with one hand, but folds up very quickly. And that is the 270-degree awning. And look for more of this on my YouTube channel soon as I get more time to kind of make this better. It's going to be a little smaller, a little slimmer, same amount of reach, a little faster to set up, just overall better, better, better. So next, and I think final part, or not final part, but next part is the front of the truck. Let's go, excuse me, let's go check out the bumper. All right, one of my favorite parts of the truck, the front of the truck and the coastal off-road bumper. This is a closed top bumper, winch bumper from Coastal Off-Road for the first generation Tacoma, with the full grill guard. You can order it without a grill guard. You'll notice too, you're probably like, hey, why you got tape on there? I'm actually going to weld these shut. This was just to help me, give me an idea visually what it looked like without them. You can order it without these little turn signals. I've wired my turn signals to these lights. But anyways, Coastal Off-Road closed top winch bumper. You can buy this as a self-weld kit. It ships from Canada, and I think it's around $500 with no grill guards, and then plus shipping. So I paid, I believe, $700 total with shipping from Canada with the full bars, and then you got to weld it yourself. So it's a very good option if you have a welder. It's a budget option if you have a welder. If you don't have a welder, you're gonna have to pay somebody to weld this, and that could be quite expensive. So consider that when you're considering this bumper. The other way of thinking about it is if you are interested in getting a welder and you have a truck and you want a bumper, buy this bumper, buy yourself a welder, do it yourself. It's super easy, or at least straightforward. And that's a great way to get a bumper and a welder and some new skills for the same price of a popular brand for the same truck. So other than ARB, there's not really another closed bumper for this truck that's under $1,000. ARB bumpers are great. This one's a little bit lighter, I think at 117 pounds, fully welded out, fully all the mounting gear. And I love the look of this one a lot more. It is a lot closer to the front of the truck than the ARB models are. So it's one of the reasons why I chose this bumper. This bumper I didn't pay full price for. I worked a marketing deal with Coastal Off-Road. So for me, once I do some more marketing for them, I have a contract with them. When that's full, this bumper will have not cost me any money, but I've invested a lot of time in creating content for them. Did a bunch of photos of the bumper, the process of building it, as well as some videos on the bumper. So I exchanged my time for their time to make it, and that's how I got this bumper on my budget rig, and that's how it didn't cost me really anything. But it's still a great deal if you do buy one, and like I said, want to buy a welder or weld it out yourself. This is one of the best looking bumpers I think that is available for these trucks. Now inside the bumper, I just installed a Warn VR or Evo VR 10S winch with the synthetic line 10,000 pound rated winch. I paid full price for this, no deals, no discounts. $750 for this winch, and might come as a surprise to you. With a budget build, you would think you should have got a Smittybilt or a Harbor Freight. Well, I did a bunch of research. I wanted to run synthetic line. Smittybilt has a great option. It's the 10K comp winch with synthetic line, fair lead, blah blah blah, but that's $550. This was only $150 more. Warn has a 7-year warranty versus a 5-year warranty, and I just don't hear any complaints about Warn, whereas Smittybilt, I hear a lot of great things all the time, but then I also have a fair amount of complaints about them. So I wanted to go with the Warn. I love the brand. I also already was given this Factor 55 gear from these guys. Super nice gift, and I wanted to run it on the company that now owns this brand. So that is why I bought this rather expensive winch for my budget build truck. And let's see, going on. Oh, okay, Factor 55. These guys rock. This stuff is super cool. If you're running synthetic line, or upgrade to synthetic line, all their products are really awesome, and more than just looking cool, being very high quality, it's made in the US, and it's the safest way to use a winch. So instead of a classic hook, this is closed. You would put one of these shackles through here into your winch line or a tree saver or whatever, and then you have no risk of it coming out of the hook. It's a closed system, super strong. Your winch line isn't hooked up over here and getting hit on rocks or getting cut or getting messed up. It's hidden behind here. You can see right there, this is their optional rope guard. Now this gear is also not normally very cheap. I think it's worth it. I probably still would have saved up to buy something like this or this exact brand. I was actually gifted this gear by the guys. I met them at an off-road expo, and super nice guys, super nice. Obviously sent me this stuff to use on my truck. I have a Instagram, so it's featured on there, but there was no obligation. They just sent it to me out of kindness, and I'm rocking it on the truck. I'm so stoked on it. So thank you, Justin and Mike from Factor 55. I love having this on the truck. So that is the front bumper, the winch, the recovery gear. Next up, let's talk about these awesome retrofit headlights. All right, these are the Nomad Retrofit projector headlights, and they are a game changer. The headlights that come stock in these trucks are more like candles, And having a powerful modern headlight is a major upgrade. Now this guy, his name is Will, makes these headlights by hand or retrofits them by hand. Check him out, nomadretrofits.com. And he has a lot of information on the output and all that kind of stuff. He actually reached out to me and said, hey, would you be interested in trying these headlights? And I offered to swap product photos, studio product photos, for the headlights. So again, we swap time for time, and I love having these headlights on the truck. They are amazing. They are projectors, so they throw super far and they're super bright. And they also have an LED halo running light, which I love. Huge upgrade. I think at the time that I got these, he was selling them for around $450, $500. So not necessarily a budget upgrade, but oh my gosh, even if I had to pay full price, this would be on one of the first upgrades that I would do to my truck, regardless of the price, because it makes long drives at night so much less fatiguing, so much better on the eyes, and you can actually see, and you can see really well. So huge shout out to those guys. Huge upgrade to the truck. Absolutely love these headlights. Totally changed the look of the truck to being black housings. So yes, that is the headlights, and we're nearly done walking around this truck. The last detail is going to be in the engine bay, and that is the onboard air system. So let's pop the hood and take a look. All right, so I popped the hood and we'll go around there, but first I'm going to show you the 3-gallon air tank for the onboard air system, and that was found on the side of the road. That is a construction a Husky air tank and compressor that I took apart just for the tank. That is what holds the air, 3 gallons of air on my air system, and it comes out right here. I just have this tucked up underneath the rear bumper, folds away nicely back there. I don't know if you can see that, but once you tuck it up, it usually stays pretty good. And now let's go look at the compressor in the front. So, other thing would be, this is the switch for the compressor. This is normally where you would have a cigarette lighter. Take the dash off, cut it out, put the switch in there. Really like having that. That means you just hit that switch while you're on the trail. You don't have to wait to fill up your air tank to start filling up your tank. Let me put the camera down and open this hood. All right, let's talk engine upgrades. There are none. Just a bunch of electrical wires running around, and my onboard air system, which is powered by a Smittybilt 2871, if I'm correct. It is the 5.6 CFM model. It's around $125 on Amazon. Oh, I do have some lights in here. This is nice at night, but this is the air compressor mounted up here on a custom mount I made out of aluminum plate. First I made it out of cardboard, then wood, and then aluminum once I had the design correct. And that is what this guy rides on top of rubber. So it's got a little vibration dampening. Again, this is the Smittybilt compressor. Here's the model, about 125 bucks. It is wired in with a starter solenoid, and that is what the switch is connected to inside the cabin. So you hit the switch, closes the line on here, turns the compressor on, and that is safer than a standard relay because it is a lot more heavy duty, and can handle the load of this guy. Compressor works awesome. I took off, normally it comes out like this, and there's another attachment. I removed that, retrofitted this fitting on here. This is in fuel injection hose, and the reason I use this for this short period is to go past the header. This stuff is rated up to like 300 degrees, and I was worried about it getting hot as it ran past the header down there. But turn the air compressor on, starts pumping up. Air is sent from here. The hose goes under the back of the truck to a 3-gallon air tank, which was on the side of the road in my local vicinity, and I picked it up, took the compressor off, and mounted it to the bottom of my truck bed. This is awesome. Holds 3 gallons is a pressure switch. It turns off the compressor at 120 psi. You can change out those switches. If I wanted to go 150, I can. And the air line comes out right at the back of the bumper here, and that's where I hook up my Morphlate air kit. That's where I get all the air to air up my tires after hitting the trails. And what else? Oh, last little detail is this little rusty pressure switch. I got this off the original compressor and it is rusty, but it still works. Lets me know if I have any pressure in the tank after I've run it, if I need to drain it. Or the other cool thing is I can actually run air tools off that tank, and that is a nice little gauge to keep an eye on that. So that is the air compressor onboard air setup in my Tacoma, and I think that wraps up the entire walk around. Oh shoot, you know what? It doesn't wrap it up. Let's take a look at the inside real quick. One more time. There is a seat delete. This is actually kind of cool. It's just a piece of plywood mounted on some, I don't know if you can see it in there, mounted on some custom made brackets. It's totally removable, bolts into the original seat spots. This seat is normally, you know, 2 + 1. Took that out. This is a great spot for my camera case, but the other thing I built it for is a fridge. I want to get a fridge, and I will put the fridge on that platform, and I'll have some USB ports and a 12-volt port on this board. Also something I made, and yeah, look for another video on that sometime soon. I'm gonna get this all wired up, and I'm gonna have power ports and an inverter for charging my laptop and camera and blah blah blah. Now I think we are nearly fully wrapped up. So you guys, thanks for watching. If you watched this entire video, that was a lot of talking. I'm already losing my voice. That is the budget build 2001 Toyota Tacoma. I've had this for about 1.5 years and absolutely love it. I hope you guys got some ideas. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I will do my best to get to you and answer those on there, as well as check out my Instagram for more details on the truck and projects and pretty much daily posts over there. And yeah, you guys, again, thanks for hanging around for this rather lengthy video. If you're new to the channel, I'd love it if you subscribe. Trying to, again, put more energy into YouTube, see where we can go with it, hopefully make some money on here and put it back into the truck for more adventures and more projects, which I hope to share with you all. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye guys.